So we've got Labor now telling us we need a new law against misinformation on social media, and ABC's journalist, Well, why not start just by tackling misinformation on the ABC? I mean, who pushed the fake claims that Cardinal George Pell was a pedophile? That Bruce Pascoe is Aboriginal? That the Great Barrier Reef is dying, if not dead already? Who for years pushed the misinformation that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to steal an election?
Tonight, we begin our special three-part investigation into the story of the century, the election of US President Donald Trump and his ties to Russia.
You got it, the ABC every time, but the ABC's got a protection racket going, protecting its own misinformation and its bias. I told you a few weeks ago about the most biased interview I'd seen in months, maybe a couple of years. And it's by that same presenter you just saw, Sarah Ferguson, refusing to believe the obvious truth that Israel killed an Australian aid worker by a terrible accident.
We've taken responsibility for the mistake.
Peter Lerner, I'm not accepting your view that it's a mistake. There's a lot further to go on this story, but thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Good evening.
Joining me on Newswatch is Sophie Elsworth, media writer for the Australian newspaper. Sophie, the ABC got a lot of complaints about that interview, about it being what you actually just saw, ABC bias. So the ABC's own policeman, its ombudsman, investigated and found what?
Well, the ABC, Andrew, investigated the ABC and found that the ABC did nothing wrong. So basically, Fiona Cameron, the ombudsman, had received 52 complaints about this broadcast that aired on 7:30 and looked at the editorial standards of impartiality. Now, in that grab there, Sarah Ferguson said that she was not accepting of the view that these aid worker deaths were a mistake, but they did determine in the Ombudsman review that she wasn't speaking on behalf of her when she said I. She was speaking on behalf of the 7:30 report. So I'm not sure if viewers would quite pick up on that. But Andrew, watching it, and we spoke about this a few weeks ago, it did come across like Sarah Ferguson was putting her point of view across, which is very important, Andrew, because if she's doing that, this is the taxpayer-funded broadcaster that we pay for, and we don't want to hear their views. We don't pay to hear their views. We want them to sit on the fence when they're giving us content.
No, but actually, that ombudsman is making a distinction without a difference. In fact, it's implying something even worse. She's saying, no, it's not the bias of Sarah Ferguson. She wasn't speaking for herself. She was speaking for the entire collective, the whole 7:30. I mean, the whole lot of them don't believe Israel. Isn't that what she's actually saying?
Well, that's the interpretation I've made from the report, and I've written about this, where she's saying she's not speaking on behalf of herself, she's speaking on behalf of the program. But look, Andrew, the big picture here is we have a problem at the ABC where often we talk about this week in, week out, where we see them push certain agendas and they're always one way. You never see them going on there and pushing conservative views. You always see it the other way. And unfortunately for the ABC, they just can't stop this because it's so widespread here. And I don't think they really want to do much about it.
No, they don't. Look, I'm going to have to look closely into that because I do think the Ombudsman has just said the Health 730 program has a collective view that not to believe Israel and claim that it was an accident. It's not just Sarah. So that actually makes it worse. Sophie, the Albanese government's trying to, picking this absurd fight with Twitter boss Elon Musk to ban one video. The US Senate has passed the vote to banning TikTok completely, unless TikTok gets sold, China sells TikTok. Tell us about this vote and what it means.
Well, basically, there's a push in the US to stop TikTok being available on platforms, allowing people to download it. There's obviously a lot of issues with TikTok, censorship, also what they're pushing on people, certain views, and also the mining of information of users that use the platform. So the US is really toughening up on this. So it could see TikTok banned from the US Andrew. So it's not quite at that point yet, but it's certainly heading down that road.
Yes, I think they're making an ultimatum. TikTok, you have to sell to someone else. We don't want it owned by the Chinese government. An American owner would be great if someone's going to put up their hand for it. Sophie Elsworth, thank you so much for your time.